Cheers. First,
Cheers.
let's just start with a cheers because I can't wait to try this beer. So, we are here today to learn some beer basics. And what better way to start than with this guy, master brewer, co-owner, CEO,
Founder.
all the titles you can possibly imagine. We've got John here from New Barons Brewing Co-op. Hi, John.
Hi, hello.
There's a lot of stuff to cover when we talk about beer.
Yeah.
Drinking it, other stuff.
Smelling it.
But there's a big
Tasting
there's a big gap in my knowledge on just the basics, how it's brewed, what you use, some of the science behind it. I think the first place we wanted to start was barley.
Yes, sir. Well, they call barley the backbone of beer because it's the first and kind of sort of main ingredient that enters the party, if you will.
Okay.
So, you know, all of the sugar that we get for the fermentation process to make alcohol comes from barley. The first Sumerian brewers, which is the first civilization, were women. These were housekeeping women that it was a task to create alcoholic beverages using grain-derived spirits, you know?
So in this beer process, are you saying that people will substitute completely out barley for wheat, rye, and other grains?
You can, but even wheat beers, you know, let's think of like something like a Hefeweizen, which is probably one of the most known wheat beers that you can think of. It's still 50% barley. So,
okay, all right.
And that's because we've cultivated barley to be like the most efficient grain in the production, I guess, of alcohol.
Okay.
So you get these really big, plump kernels. They're great. They come in like a little package, right? They got a husk on it. As soon as you crack it open, you've got this starchy interior.
Okay.
And starch is just basically complex sugar. And what we do as brewers is we hack that starch and turn it into more simple sugars, and then we turn it into alcohol. Barley is just the perfect grain because it has all the machinery that you need to make alcohol.
Yep.
And it's got a lot of it too, so there's a lot of sugar that can come out of it.
Tell me a little bit about how you source this stuff. I assume it's not being grown in your backyard.
No.
Find a farmer, a good old farmer to.
There's pretty
put
much
this together for you.
I guess 3 people that are involved. There's the farmer. He's number 1, so he grows the barley. It's grass basically. Then there's the maltster, so that's kind of the middleman between the brewer and the farmer.
Okay.
So the maltster will buy barley, which is raw at the time, and then bring it to this big plant called the malting plant, and turns it into malted barley. And then they sell it to brewers. So I got 4 different
Barleys.
kinds. We'll start with the basic one.
Yeah, give me some, speaking of basics, beer basics, let's try a basic barley.
So this is Pilsner malt. Pils is what we call a base malt. So roughly in any recipe I make, upwards of 80, some cases 90%, is just this. So grab yourself a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, here. Throw that in your mouth.
All of it?
Yeah.
Okay. We chewing barley.
Chewing barley.
Oh my gosh.
So you can kind of taste it. It's just like normal beer flavor almost.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. It's
So
a little bready, but like.
Is nobody packaging these up at a brewery and being like, here, eat some barley? Because honestly, I was a little surprised. I thought this was going to be pretty gross, and it's delicious.
You can find malted barley at some grocery stores. But, you know, we want to have fun, so it can't just be base all the time.
Right,
So,
totally.
A step up from that is called Vienna.
Which we've heard of Vienna lagers before. Vienna, okay.
So this would be a key ingredient in that beer. Vienna malt is toasted just a little bit longer. They keep it in the kiln maybe, you know, just a matter of minutes longer. And as a result, it gets a little bit darker and it starts to develop some of the toasty, nutty flavors in there.
Okay.
So it's like a richer version of Pils. I mean, it provides a lot of other things like foam stability, head retention, things like that. But you know, that's a subject for
Oh my gosh, you
more
just got,
class.
John, that was way too sciencey. Did you say foam stability?
Hey, you'd be surprised how much brewers, when we're talking to each other, like, foam stability on this.
Really?
Yeah, that's great foam stability, man.
That's all right for all you beer enthusiasts. That's a good one.
Go impress your local brewer by talking about
foam stability.
Here we are. We're moving up.
Moving on up.
This is a crystal malt.
Okay.
This is gonna be a dramatic change.
This is gonna be a dramatic
It's a pretty
change.
dramatic change.
All right, here we go. Oh, way crunchier. Whoa.
Yeah. Lots going on, huh?
I'm getting I'm getting coffee.
Keep going.
That was about it.
So that's called a crystal malt.
Oh
It's
my
because
god.
the inside of it is actually kind of crystallized, which is why
Toasty.
it's crunchier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so basically they like turn the sugars inside of that into like a glassy, almost consistency, which is kind of a darker crystal malt, but it's supposed to have like flavors of raisin, date, dark fruit.
Coffee's the one that
Not
hit me
quite
hardest.
right, not quite right, but I know what you're saying.
Well, and I also may or may not have had coffee before this, so it's probably just like igniting all the flavors that were already in my mouth. Okay.
But it's hard to see on
But
camera,
dark fruits.
This is actually darker too. You can see that some of the kernels look like brown. So as a result,
Yeah, they do, don't they?
the Crystal 150 will also make beers turn like more of an amber color, because this can be about 5%
Okay.
of a malt bill for a recipe.
Oh my gosh, really? That's
but
really
that 5% can provide a lot of flavor. Last
good.
but not
Okay,
least,
and last but not least.
and there's 50 some odd different types of barley, malted barleys that are kilned, but
I'm sure.
we're hitting a gamut of kind of pale, little bit roasty, very roasty, and now we've got the most roasted, which
you can tell is pretty dark.
black.
I mean, look at,
And-
here's our first one versus this. Bam.
And a funny thing about this is actually wheat. So I wanted to bring a wheat out.
Oh, nice.
You can tell the difference because there's no husks on it.
Yeah, there's
wheat
nothing
doesn't
on
have-
it.
Wheat doesn't have husks.
Okay.
But that's good for wheat for reasons of astringency and bitterness.
Yeah.
For when you burn kernels that have the shell on it,
Yeah.
barley, it can make it like extremely bitter.
Oh.
But for wheat, when you do that, it generates like a nice smooth bitterness. And
Okay.
the flavors that you get out of it, well, I'll let you be the judge.
Let
Yeah,
me be the I'll be the judge.
Yeah.
Here we go. Like burnt, I don't want to say burnt marshmallow, but you kind of
That's
like
right, yeah,
when you get,
like-
when you get the burnt marshmallow and you eat some of that crust.
Right.
That's kind of what I'm tasting.
For sure. It's called chocolate wheat. Sort of like the last malt provides red color, this provides a very dark color. And so whenever you have a stout or you have a porter or any of those beers that are darker, you're probably going to have some variation of chocolate wheat or chocolate barley that does exist.
Yeah.
Black malt.
Now, recently, New Barons came out saying, hey, we're going to be a lager company. What was your reasoning behind that?
As a craftsman, you're always looking for that intersection of what you're good at and what you enjoy with, what your consumer seems to be gravitating towards. And we started making lagers a few years ago, but we saw over just the last couple summers that our Pilsner was really taking off. Then we made this black lager, and that was taking off
Yeah,
as
black
well.
beer's the best.
Yeah. So we doubled down on it. I think breweries, since there's so many of them these days, you
Yeah.
want to be known for something.
Well, and not only that, but another differentiating factor that you have is that you're actually a co-op. It's not just a name. The co-op has some serious meaning to it.
For sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about what it means to be a member owner and what it means to be a co-op
Yeah, so it literally means that we're community owned. And so
Yeah.
we're not owned by just one or two people. We're owned by over 525 people now. Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah.
and growing.
And growing. Yeah, anybody can become a member at any time. The co-op simply means that everyone can only buy one share of the company. But what's really cool about it is just the sense of community that we develop. Almost all of our beers are in honor of some facet of our community, whether that's behind a person or a band or a cool, groovy podcast.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Our beers are inspired by our community, and
There's a different feeling in the tap room, specifically centered around the member ownership.
Yep. Yeah.
It's more, oh God, to quote Olive Garden, when you're here, you're family. But it does feel that way. It does.
You're right, though. I mean, and we do a lot for our members. So, like, for example, this glass we're drinking out of right now.
Yeah.
It's part of our first beer free program. And
Yeah.
so if you're a member owner, every time you come in here, you get your first 12-ounce pour of beer.
All right, so that's barley. This is Beer Basics with John. Tune in for the next video. We are doing hops, weeds, drunk cousin.
Bye.